change, but it's a little shortened from the program booklet because sometimes you think of things, and I'm a very long-winded person, so I'll use timers and things like that as we move forward. But then you're like, that's too big to put on a whole doggone slide. What was I thinking, right? So now the basic premise is this is part 2 from last year. And so just by a quick raise of hands, it's not gonna matter either way, but I just wanna see who attended part 1 of this last year. All right, 2 people, 3 people on the comeback. I appreciate, and we appreciate you coming. We appreciate you coming back. It's not mandatory that you attended part 1 last year to attend part 2, because it's all about part 1 was really about understanding what burnout and compassion fatigue is, and we're going to do a little review. Pardon me, I'm a recovering teacher of many things, so we'll always review, and we can't just give it to you because y'all are like, I don't even remember what happened yesterday. You asked me, remember what happened a year ago? So we'll do a little review, but the key premise of this session is really to address tools to address burnout and compassion fatigue, right? And we'll go into that. And this is a session that is going to use technology. So if you are not tech savvy, I ask that you move next to somebody who is. If you are tech savvy and you see someone struggling, we are cooperators. We do this thing together. Please move next to them and guide them along the way. All right? We got that?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know about those young people. I got kids too. Sometimes they tech savvy, but sharing that information is a whole nother ball game. So, again, from awareness to action, tools for addressing burnout and compassion fatigue. And my name is Erica Zenzele Hardison. I am a cooperator from I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and am organizing and building one community grocery co-op in St. Petersburg, Florida. Shameless plug. This presentation really aims to explore burnout and compassion fatigue and focus on specific impacts in African American communities and organizing. So this is Kay Haynes. She is a member owner of One Community Grocery Co-op, among other things. She always surprises me, so I'm gonna let her do a brief intro. You ever have somebody and then they like, oh yeah, that's Dr. So-and-so. You be like, Doctor, they never said anything. Or, oh, you're a doula, whatever. You be like, what happened? You couldn't introduce that in the conversation? So I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
So my name is Kay Haynes, and I am a transpersonal psychologist, which means that I work with individuals in addressing aspects of their human experience that is impacted by their earthly, the way we show up in the world as our earthly beings and our spiritual selves. And so that's why I'm called the crossroad companion, because I help kind of connect those two places and see where we need to go from there when we have that understanding of who we are. I am also a member of the co-op. I work with Ms. Zenzele to put together our newsletter. So I'm on the communications committee. I'm on the member owner engagement and outreach committee, and now we have a new committee that's doing something else. So I do my best to kind of get our co-op going, because we're in that phase where we're about halfway to where we need to be before we can start moving on to feasibility. And so our goal this year is to get to that number, that magic number, so that we can push forward into that space.
All right. And that was her shameless plug for if you know anybody in St. Petersburg, Florida, who is not a member of One Community Grocery Co-op, www.ocgc.coop, join. All right, so housekeeping and grounding. Our agenda for today is really brief. We're going to do about 20 or so minutes of a recap of what we talked about last year, just a refresher. And then we will go into building and co-creating a toolkit for people to use when they leave this space, right? Because we all are gonna leave here, yes.
Just to let you know, that thing that looks like an owl behind you is a camera.
Oh, so I'm like, everybody seeing my back? Hey, so for like the first 10 minutes, people were like, oh, those grass are so pretty, what's going on? So let me.
You can follow you around the room, you just may not want to say like right in front of you.
Yeah, that thing said, see, technology will get you every time. I'm just blocking.
Yeah, so you can see you on the sides over here, you can feel free to walk.
Okay, so let me walk, let's be showing my computer screen, whatever. All right, so good to know, right? Another good to know is that QR code. This is that part of technology when if you're not technologically savvy. This is the part where you get your friend next to you, your new friend, because you may not even know them, right? To help you sign in, because we're gonna use this throughout the workshop. Another thing that you should know about me is I tend to be really eco-friendly. I recycle, I compost, I collect rainwater, I have rain gardens. Waste not, want not.
That's all you should be.
They taught me that before I even knew about composting and all that other stuff. So please, there are papers.
That's true.
Yes. So I did print out some for those people who can't get it off the screen, and there's one on each table, but if not, please just sign in. And this is for us to use as we move through the workshop, but also at the end of the workshop, and I won't say at the end today, but in the near future, we'll compile everybody's and send it out as a toolkit so that we all can use these practices. So please sign in. I was gonna make everything required and mandatory, but I did not do that. I said I wanted to meet people where they are, but please put your name, your city, your co-op, and all those things. And there will be time, you could talk in, because I know typing may be a challenge. Some of us, I have my computer, but some of you may not have your computer to do this, but it's all good. All right. Other good to know, like we're on this together, right? So this is a safe space. Please feel free to speak your truth. I always say don't yuck anybody's yum. I know there are some Oprah loving people in the house, and I'm not gonna say anything about y'all Oprah loving people. I saw one last night eating gumbo like it wasn't a thing. I did not have the gumbo. Let's move on.
There was gumbo?
Oh no, right? No, no,
This whole section in and of itself.
Oh, goodness. Oh, man. That we might have to put that in next year. Intentions, please keep, and our intention is to come out of this workshop fresh, renewed, so that we can continue to work. Anything that is beyond that, we ask that you let go at this time. Commitments, I'm asking you to commit to the time that we are spending together. I know that there are people calling you, texting you, talking about things that you need to know and that you don't care about. And I just ask that you manage those the best way you can. My way is to ignore them at this moment in time. But if you can't ignore them, please, move on. expectations is that everybody will participate, even the people who come in and don't know where they are. Right, but come in and make it happen. We haven't really got started yet. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And, let's make this happen. We're just scanning the QR code. I'm sure Ray will help you out. If you need any help.
Sure.
And we are moving on. So, all right. So, anyone who attended either the first workshop of the day with Gabby on compassion, fatigue, and burnout, or anybody who attended last year, can you please share out and just tell us one thing that stuck with you the most from part one? And that's either if you attended last year or you attended the workshop before this today. Anybody? Thank you.
What stood out to me was what you said, there is no safe space. There are safer spaces because you don't know what triggers somebody else.
That's.
Can you say that one more time?
So Gabby, there are no safe spaces. They're just safer spaces. You can make it safer because you don't know what triggers somebody else.
I'll add, if I could add to that, I agree with Gabby, because you don't know what makes people feel safe. But I do use the term dedicated. I can dedicate a space. I can't say, like you said, that it's safe, but it is a dedicated space and offer.
Anyone else care to share things that stuck out from a previous burnout and compassion, fatigue? Yes.
Yes, constructive conflict, one of those things is inevitable. How you handle it, how you respond to it, impacts the outcome of the conflict is inevitable. It's worth negative instances of people. So that's the one thing, for sure, that's a succession plan, ensuring that the work's able to continue after those works that are driving currently, into an end by choice or by force. All the things included that create that succession plan, for sure.
Right, and I like that. There's always going to be conflict in our lives, right? Somehow, some way, and we get to choose how we respond to that. And again, a great response in conflict and anything else is to have a plan. I have a friend and he says, I have a plan, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth. Because you never know what's gonna happen, you plan for, the best and kind of pivot from there. Okay, so when we're talking about understanding burnout and compassion fatigue, like we don't want to get to the stage of burnout, which is physical and emotional exhaustion, where you just don't want to do it anymore. Mentally, physically, that can mean you can't do it anymore, and you just totally disconnect. So basically, that's burning out. I feel like everybody's seen it. I feel if you're a part of this work, it's those people who grind and grind and grind. Then you're like, what happened to Sheila? Where is Sheila? Sheila said, I'm done with y'all folks. I don't want to be here. I can't do it anymore. And like, dang, Sheila had a popping and she's gone. And then compassion fatigue is a little different because it is what I would call like an empathetic reaction. Sometimes it can be sympathetic if you're going through the same thing, but it's an empathetic reaction where we are taking on all the worries and woes, not only yours, not only the ones that I have personally every day, but I'm taking on yours, I'm taking on Joe's, I'm taking on everybody's, because I am Superwoman, and I may not be able to solve my own problems, but doggone it, I'm gonna solve yours. So we have to, that's not a good space right? Although we all believe and some of us don't even believe we have superpowers. Other people tell us we got superpowers, which is like, this is what I do every day. But doing that can take a toll on you, but the main issue as cooperatives that we have is not only takes a toll on the individual, but it takes a toll on the whole community or the whole space, right? And we don't want that to happen. And so these are some of the signs: chronic physical fatigue and exhaustion. All these lead to burnout. I'm going to make an assumption that everybody can read, and I don't want to lose time. So I'm gonna try and power through all of this, because these are some of the things agreed that were talked about last year, if people remember, or an hour or so ago, if you remember that as well. So these are all signs. And what are the challenges, right? Especially for Black leaders and volunteers. We all know that it's very different for us than our white or, non-Black counterparts, right? A lot of people tend to kind of discount that, but the truth is there's racial trauma and discrimination that other people don't face, yada, 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 yada. Additional stresses, historical content, inequity and injustice, community expectations and pressure. I have high expectations. I do. My kids know that better than anybody else. But I have high expectations because my parents and their parents had high expectations of me. And so we pass this on, and we serve as role models. We do all this. It's not only for me and my children, it's for everybody, right? Usually from the community, and balancing those personal and those community needs. How do we do that? And then, how do we do that? With a lack of resources, right? I just was talking to brother guy over here about resources. Like, if we have the resources, we could do a lot. But we not only a lot of times have a lack of resources and financial and things like that, but access to mental health and just regular health care as well. And the stigma around seeking help in the community, right? It is what it is, but we have the ability to change that. And then, how does this impact our projects and our initiatives, right? We're all here because we're trying to build co-ops, right? Food co-ops in some way, shape, or form to make our community better, right? But how do we do that if we have impaired decision-making, right? I will tell you all, we had a time getting here. I'm proud to say that there are 5 people here from one community grocery co-op. Yeah, because for many of you all who have been coming for years, I was like, solo dolo, yeah. We got a co-op, we got a co-op. Me. No, it wasn't me, but I was the only one who was able to come, right? And so a lot of times that it has an impact and it takes a toll, and people don't see that. They see, oh yeah, it's one person, I'm trying. And after 6 years, 5 people. So those of you who are rolling, there is hope. There is hope. Yes, and it will happen. But again, these things all have an impact. When you're the only one and you have that responsibility to take this back to a community of folks, and I'm in Florida, let's not say anything about Florida. We already know anything about Florida. All right. But be all right. Trying to make it. However, it's a lot of responsibility. Like, how much headspace does that carry? How much? I tell people, I'm like, I probably forgot half of what I know, right? So this is the thing. And then the community outcomes. It's decline in what can happen in the community because we have this decreased ability for compassion. So next question and kind of discussion. What questions or insights do you have about compassion fatigue, burnout, and the impact that it has on the community? Any just popcorn? There we go.
Statement, I think that burnout has like a negative connotation that I feel that to acknowledge that you're in a state of burnout or creeping up on it, it's like a sense of weakness. So we don't acknowledge it, it happens, and now we're here, right?
Yeah.
And if everybody paid a little more attention, if I told you like my capacity is getting limited, maybe as a collective, we can, you don't get there. What we do is a bad word, so we're shamed and now we're at burnout.
Right, I totally agree.
Yeah, so, mine is both a question and a comment, and just put you on the spot, Erica, because you're standing here, I'm telling you right now. So, one of the things is, like, with burnout and fatigue is like, you have to catch it. And you gotta know what space you're in to be able to help yourself, so for you, probably, I know you've gone through it a couple times, but at what point did you start understanding what phase you are in so that you can?
So I can reel myself back in,
Reel it back in.
get back up, and be done with fight the good fight.
Yep.
One more day.
Yep.
You know, that's a great question. Because there are times, I'm gonna tell you, I think it's the day before yesterday, I did, like, those of you who know me know, I generally don't curse and, you know, all that. I might use it enough one time, but to curse at somebody, that's like, that means that everybody better duck. Duck, get out of the way, move, right? And so, I tend to find myself, like, I check myself on a regular. Number one, I tell people, like, I do gratitude statements, whether I write them down, like I physically keep a journal, like anybody who goes through my stuff when I'm dead, it's like, she was like, what? Because I'm like, I am thankful for this, I'm thankful, and I try to keep those things in the forefront of my mind. And like the other day, when I didn't keep those things in the forefront of my mind, and some poor customer service person on the other end of the phone got afflicted like they never knew. But then I talked to people, because I was like, look, this is something like I absolutely, because I admire people and what they do. Like, everybody has value, right? And like I said before, as a teacher, and you never know what people are showing up to, right? And so I would always tell, you know, my students and people, like, listen, I don't know what you came from, but what we can do from this time to this time is agree that we're gonna respect each other. I promise you that I can help you from this time to that time. I'm gonna try to help you outside of these things, but this is what I can promise you. And I try to keep those commitments to myself. But through like positive affirmations, through reflection, because I did, that person, they were the first, I was probably their first phone call that day. But I was like, they tricking me, and I talked to somebody, because I was like, why would I do that? And people like would be disappointed. And then I was like, And then I talked to somebody, I continue to talk, I share, I'm not perfect. I always tell people, I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I am going to do something wrong every single day. Now, I hope you don't get the wrong part of it that day. If you do, know that I'm not perfect and I don't require perfection from you.
I think I got this last time we were together, but I think, for me, I think the idea was that my capacity was limited, and so I needed to step away. But what my group did, and what we did was, was to say, how many of these meetings in a week could I go to? And what part of the meeting could I stay for? And what could I contribute? And so I would check my capacity every time just to see where I was at. But I remember trying to say, like, I'm gonna go and do this. And my group was like, why? Just stay here. Let's get through this assignment together, Asada. Like, we can work through this. And so I think it's like, I think the thing is like, because this was the thing that made me be so joyful. So I know I just got to figure out what that is. And I think the tendency is to go by myself and let myself do something. But I realize that isolation only increases, like, right, but I need the group. And so they let me sit within the group to be nourished and to say, and they told me, like when I gave that speech, they was like, listen, if you don't show up, if you don't do something, it ain't because you don't want to. We know we here because of you. Like, you ain't got to do all that. Like, we are not questioning you when your capacity is low. And so I just want to say being in the group is, for me, was the thing, because individualism, I think, worsens.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, I was obsessed with burnout and studying burnout for a while. So I have a really good booklet. I'm happy to share it with you, and you can share it with everybody.
Oh, please.
It's like literally on my thing.
I'm glad. These are the type of people. And I always say, I have accountability partners. Sometimes I call them my kids, but they're other people as well, right? So, yeah, no, I'm just, he's like, you gotta do this, I got accountability partners, I don't do that like that. So it's really surrounding yourself with people who are gonna nurture you.
Yes.
And who have the same goal in mind, right? And a lot of times, we tend to be like, we gotta preach this, like, and some people they preaching to the choir, but sometimes you need that choir, right? You need that choir to sing and praise you, to, like Asada said, to tell you, no, we got this, sit down. But the other thing is, you need a choir who's gonna accept responsibility.
Yes.
And be accountable. But can you
Yeah,
tell
I
us
will
your
share,
book
but the
name?
thing I wanted to say was that, what it specifically says is that burnout is a relational problem and it needs a relational solution. So that what you're speaking to specifically about like the individualism and like the just resting, it's not gonna solve the problem. Like you need a level of engagement, but that one that feeds you. Because what happens is that if you're depleted because you're giving, but you're not receiving, that's what it leads to burnout. If you feel like your work isn't being recognized, if you feel like certain things are not, sort of not being seen, all of these things are leading to burnout. And so there still needs to be a level of engagement to help solve burnout, but that level of engagement needs to feed you. And so for me, it was about investing in activities that were feeding you, right? And so it was like less meetings, more going out with my kid, right? It was like less going to every single thing that interests me, that I feel like I could contribute to, and more going to things that I was going to be fed by.
Very, very good. Please come in. All right. Okay, where have you noticed signs of fatigue, or excuse me, signs of burnout or compassion fatigue? Just pop real quick, yes.
Sometimes avoiding calls, especially when like.
Yes.
Avoiding calls.
Avoiding calls, who would do that? Who would ever see that text pop up and be like, hey?
I feel my shoulders. I answered them.
Okay, say it a little louder.
I went straight into the fire and it was good.
Yes. So I will tell you, like, people say you got broad shoulders. I have broad shoulders. I carry a lot. But when I go to my massage therapist, she be like, girl, what is this? You just got a massage 2 weeks ago. You gotta, like, this is just where I carry. So noticing the parts of your body, the parts of your mind that are taken up by stress. So anything or anyone else, because I really want to get to the toolkit of this piece, and I hope people that put their names in, I don't wanna be the teacher and look on my little Google form and try and think about it.
I think avoidance.
Avoidance. Yeah.
Your body talks to you.
Oh, yes, it does. Sit your behind down, it says. Get down, get back up.
Let's pay attention.
Your body talks to you. Your head begins to hurt. You can't focus on the stuff. You just don't feel like doing it anymore. Right? Depression. You know, all these things that people don't like to talk about, right? But we need to talk about. You know, I have, and I say we need to talk about, because I do feel there's a time and place for everything. And so sometimes, like I'm saying this with my kids, I used to tell them, listen, we got to do this now, but I promise you, we can work it out with counseling. Like I'm here for you, but we might have to table it so we can work it out in counseling, but listen, counseling is an option. And when we are open to that, when we are open to understanding, you know, the different ways that our minds work, right? Like I said, I was a teacher a long time, 6th grade. Anybody been in the 6th grade? Been a while, but I'm telling you, them flashbacks. I tell you those flashbacks, right? And sometimes you're like, it's okay, I do hate it. But you have to understand, and a lot of times, and I use 6th grade because a lot of times in most places, kids are transitioning from elementary school where people do everything for them to middle school where people are expecting them to do things. And they may not know they don't have any tools. So you have to prepare yourself and give tools. Whether it be in the 6th grade or what we call the worst sleep in the world, adult sleep. So these are the things that we must do.
Can I have one piece on the other?
Yes, please.
Because I think this is gonna become important. I also think that right now, financial stress creates burnout. And so I think we're moving into that time again, just because of what's happening. And so if we've been prolonged in systems where we haven't had enough resources, we've had to double up, right? Because we couldn't afford this, we couldn't afford that. And I don't think we realize how that prolonged deprivation, material deprivation, leads to burnout and compassion fatigue. And we talk about costs, but we don't even be checking in on everybody's personal finances. Like, you making rent this month? Like, what's going on with your car? Like, I think we just got to, be more compassionate around the individual conditions.
And that's true. Like, I believe in that, and I believe in what we are doing is movement work. It's not just cooperation, it's movement work. And how can we expect to help the whole? And we don't even, how can I build a co-op and I can't pay my rent? You know, how does this happen? And a part of it, I will tell you, I think some of us are struggling from a condition called capitalism and our place in it, right? And so I also, like remember I said I was recycling and all this stuff, like it's true, like I am I will give you stuff. Look, please, I have enough co-op stuff at my house, wink, wink. You want to keep this there. You gonna take it? You take it. Because sometimes we have to get rid of stuff that takes up space, stuff that is occupying our minds and training our minds. Like, we don't need a 1,000 pairs of shoes. You got 2 feet.
Right.
7 days a week. I was imagining, maybe give you those permutations that you're talking about. Why some people do that? look, if you got 2 good pairs of shoes, 3 good pairs of pants, 6 shirts, you live for a month, bro. You know what I'm trying to make. But we have to address that, and I say that because a part of that is capitalism. Capitalism tells us that we need a lot of material stuff. Like America is famous, how many stores contain it? Don't raise your hand, I'm not gonna ask you to raise your hand for this. Who got a story that they ain't been to in about a year, 6 months? They ain't been glad enough. You haven't even been able to touch that stuff. But it is crazy. But you say, why do you do it? And again, it's a conditioning.
And them they better not touch it.
You gonna need it one day, but when you can't get to that store, you gonna call Amazon and say, please deliver that.
And I do think our attachment to, because I have an attachment to things that really are trauma related, right? And I think we haven't talked about, like when you are always losing, I live in a gentrified neighborhood, and I'm losing people all the time. I'm trying to hold on to things because I can't hold on to the people. So I think we also have to connect it to these emotional attachments and process grief that we have.
And we do, but the only, and I kind of believe, and I feel like the only way that we could do that is recognize the situation that we are in. And recognize, like, I will share this with everyone. The reason why I wasn't here last year, and I have been for the previous 5 years before that, is because a couple of days before up and coming, my father went into the hospital. Right? Lord, my father lived I live in Florida. Like, for those of you who live in New Jersey and them small states where you could drive an hour or 2 and still, and get to another state. I live in Florida. I live in South Central Florida, basically. And it took me 8 hours to get to my father. Right? And in the short part of the story is he ended up passing, right? And so when we hear and when we have these attachments to things, because we as Black people, we lose so much every day. But I am here to tell you, even though you've lost, one of the things that I noticed more when my father passed is little things that we do every day that people impart upon our lives that we don't even know. Now, I've seen my father's signature my whole entire life, but it wasn't until he passed that I looked at the way we signed our name, exactly the same. Wow. And the reason why I go by Zenzele, but my father named me Erica because he couldn't get a boy. After me, he got one though, but those first couple tries weren't it? So the deal is that we hold on to these things and we think because we can't touch it, that it's gone. But the truth is that we always have it. And that's why we're here in this space. So, yeah, get rid of that stuff. Get rid of the stuff. So, we're gonna talk about just some individual and self-care strategies, and this is the part where you should participate. I should be typing on a computer, speaking into your phone. And there's a couple of questions that we have. And so if you look, I think one of the first questions, I don't think it's up on my screen. One of the first, if you could answer that first question, because we're looking for, yes, individual strategies. Self-care practices. What could help you focus on physical wellness, right? And the first question is, what is one song that helps you reset, find joy, or release stress. And we can popcorn that out. And I would love, and then, in fact, telling you, like I tell my children, this is not an ask, I'm telling you, to please type your favorite, or a song that helps you. And the key is that you'll get these responses once you press submit, and the hope is that you will take these with you. And then the greater hope is that everybody will do this, and we will combine it, and everybody can share. Like, my song is Sam Cooke. Who can tell me what song I'm thinking about, or a Sam Cooke song? You might be my best friend.
Change is gonna come.
There you go. When I am down, I was born by the river. I won't hurt someone.
Come on, somebody.
Yeah. You don't want to kill those people on Zoom. No. You can do it well, but outside. Long time. Change will come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too. There we go. So, thank you, Sister Free, for freeing us. All right, and recognize that you typed it. Say it again.
Leela James.
Leela James.
She has a beautiful version of Change is gonna come.
All right.
That's not my song, but I'm just saying for you too.
But
If you
I
want to hear a
know,
woman say it.
but I do know, if I play you some Barris Hammond.
Oh, of course.
Look, my husband.
Of course.
Barris Hammond, is one of my favorite all-time artists.
No Disturb sign.
Oh, yeah, yes. So if you haven't heard of Barris, please.
You can put that on there. No Disturb sign.
Elsa?
Yes. So we have like a bilingual board. People speak Portuguese, Somali, Arab, English, French, all of it, you name it. And so you can imagine a lot of burnout, stress. Those strategies still apply.
Oh, yeah. See, and I say, oh, yeah, so quickly, right? Because I will tell you, there are songs that I don't even understand the words. Like, seriously, I may not know, but the music is what soothes my soul. And so sometimes we have to look at, like, these strategies, you will have to adapt, because language is a huge barrier. But I tell people that, I'll share another story, right? So, my father passed away, and now I've got 2 more accountability partners living in my house. My brother, who is mentally challenged, and I have my mother, who has mastered the economy of words. My mother says, literally, maybe 2, 3 words a day. But she still eats, gets everything she wants, and will let you know when it ain't happening. And so I tell people that a lot of times people are like, how do you know? I was like, did you see the eye roll? I took my mother, because I practice yoga. I said, we're gonna go to a yoga class. It was a chair yoga class. Like, I'm not trying to, exert her too much. So it's a chair yoga class. sitting in the chair, and I made my 16-year-old daughter come too, yeah. Those are the things. So we're sitting in class, everybody's around, and we're doing home poses, so blah, blah, blah. So my mom was like, your mother looks bored. I'm having a sofa party Friday night. You must bring her. I said, what the what? Take her? Oh, yes, I did. And one thing, even though my mother doesn't talk, she will keep you on the dance floor all night. And so I tell people, like, you have to meet people where they are and all those things. But it works. And hopefully there are enough people on your board who share common languages who can help. Like I know you were telling me earlier that you're translating and things like that. So hopefully there will be some, transition and people can absorb some way. But I do believe.
Yeah, and just to offer you like the first two groups, those are like boundaries. Those are like going internal, going inside strategically to care for yourself. So then I think the barriers that you may be contemplating are impacted by this. This is truly about holistic wellness of people. And everybody's able to kind of engage in that. So, language barriers, cultural barriers, none of that's really relevant with those types of practices and strategies to care for yourself and for others. As we're doing this work. So I think it's important to keep top of mind.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I think language justice is a real thing because we experience that a lot in Florida. So there are a lot of ways, like I will tell you, I recently went to France, to Paris in particular. I don't speak French. I can, and I tell you, me and Google Translate, and it translates. So we have to use technology to help us out as well. So there are 3 other questions. So I'm gonna ask that you complete the 3 other questions, because I feel like we're running out of time. I should have mentioned this before, like I mentioned before, I talk a lot, but I really want this to happen. And when I have a goal, Darnell, what happens when it's a goal?
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, we gotta make it.
You got about 25 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next question was, your go-to 5-day practice, breathing, stretching, your prayer minds is Lord is my shepherd. That's my prayer. When I'm in my car at home with my kids getting on my nerves, there it goes.
I feel you in traffic.
And Buja Bonton has the 23rd song.
Oh, my favorite. If you have never.
Buja Bonton.
Buja Bonton, the 23rd Psalm. So he sings the 23rd Psalm. I'm telling you. So it is quite beautiful.
And I think the 23rd song, like my grandparents used to pray. My grandmother and her siblings used to read the 23rd Psalms 3 times a day. And that's what me and my family do. Like we just read the 23rd Psalms. It's a universal prayer for us as a family. And I think those are some universal things people can bring in and ask people how you feel about.
Right.
I know that Our Father, I don't know the 23rd.
No, the she does the 23rd Psalm as well. But it doesn't have to be the 23rd Psalm. It could be anyone. Like I have a friend, and I can't remember the scripture in the Bible but he stops his day every day at 11:13 because that's the scripture that he reads. And he reads at that time. He stops. He reads the scripture, and it's something that keeps him going in practice. Can anybody read the next question? No. It's on
The forum.
Can you help?
It's energy boosters.
Energy boosters.
Yeah.
Now, Y'all didn't get my usual introduction. Oh, wait.
Boundary phases.
Boundary
phrases.
Oh, boundary phrases.
Respectful phrases.
Oh.
To say no to protect your.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Boundary phrases, the next question, and this is on, you have to scan the code, so those people who, if you're sitting next to somebody who is looking kind of confused, please share with them. This is not only an exercise in technology, but cooperation as well. Security, pardon me. Okay, what phrase can you use to say no to protect your time?
Not today.
I've reached my capacity.
I've reached my capacity.
Let me get back to you on that.
Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
Tell my mom all the time, no is
No. And then people will look at you, my favorite is when you say no, and then they wait.
It's like you gonna say something.
And in that moment, a lot of times people change, they know, they're like, well, I don't know what's going on. I said no, they didn't want what they said.
It's still no.
Don't say anything, practice your silence. My no means no. It's a complete sentence, I don't need to say anything else, but we got those people who have mastered that and we wait. Maybe that's in mind. No, it's still no. I've reached my capacity. All those, things that you could say to buy you time. Let me get back with you. Oh, let me have some time to think about that. Or you could say, I had a previous engagement, if they ask me to do something. And you can do that with truth, I always say, people know you're lying, non-verbal cues, but say no.
And I had a problem with, I had a problem with knowing if it was in my capacity, and I had a mentor, and she would say, call me and tell me what someone asked you to do. And I'm gonna talk, because I think, I just wanna say that, I'm socialized a certain way. And it's hard for me to overcome that socialization. And so trying to be like the person that say no, I just need somebody to help me process, right? That can I do this? Should I be paying the light bill? You know what I mean? Cause I don't know. My mind is scrambled sometime around.
Right, cause you got too many things on your plate, right?
That's right.
So there we go, back to that previous slide. Your decisions are impaired. So you are seeking professional help, whether that be your mentor, a counselor, accountability partner that you have, you seek professional help, right? A lot of times, like this, I'm one of those DIY people, right? The other day, I tried to put in a thermostat. Did I tell y'all some Florida? I tried to put in a thermostat, the AC man said, you did what? I was like, yeah, YouTube University will kill you, but I think that's right.
Not YouTube University.
Right? He fixed it, dollars and hours later. But seek professional help. Alright. So we're gonna move on. Oh shoot, that's my favorite one. Energy boosters. Now, I don't know about Coca-Cola.
No, that's not boosted.
It could be. I'm not yuck.
That was your.
Yes. So, energy boosters. I usually tell people my two favorite things in this world besides my children and family are food and black folk. I would rather than eat black folk than So free, I'm gonna come and get you. Yeah, that, it works. But I will tell you that food, we're all here because we're building food co-ops, right? And I always tell people how I even got into well, I've been vegan for about 30 years, and people are like, man, whatever. But the truth is, how I got into it is because somebody asked me a simple question. They said I come from a very healthy family. They like to run cross country, do things physically that I am not excited about. Like, I'm not a cheerleader. I played sports because I had to. I went to dance lessons and all those things because those were the choices and opportunities that were given to me, right? But now, as an adult, I was like, gosh, I need to be fit and fine and all these things. So I started working out, and the people asked me one simple question. They said, well, you're doing all this stuff, working out twice a day. Went out to eat, and I would eat, and they were like, oh, what is that? And I was like, all right, that's a good question. So what you feed, their point was, how was I feeding the inside? I was doing all this stuff to improve my body on the outside, but what was I doing? So think of some things that truly feed you and what can help you, and if you could answer that question. And then we're going to move to organizational strategies. Yes. And I would ask that you answer that question. I will read the next question. The question is, what healthy snack, drink, or small ritual gives you a lift when you are low? So for me, it's tea. I'm a tea drinker. I like my tea hot. I kind of am weirded out by the cold tea situation that seems to be pervasive in American culture and has moved its way around the world.
Coffee is not American culture.
No, I don't know. I use ice matcha.
Iced coffee is American
That's
culture.
what I'm talking about. I like it.
You don't do that here.
Me too.
I mean, I'm young, but. Black
Hot coffee every day, no matter how hot it is.
So, as we move in, people have written or typed in what feeds them in terms of food, drink, or small ritual. Like, I have an aunt who has tea in her garden every morning. That's her ritual. I tend to drink hot water. It's the first thing I intake every day. So it's a ritual, it becomes a habit, and it helps to center me. Like when I haven't had my water, what's your water stand? It's gonna be hot. Well, there's some stuff behind that. It's supposed to clean your system because your body has rested, and it's like, basically flushing. Oh, I know it. Yeah, some people do lemon. Yeah. So. All right. So organizationally, we're all here because we are building organizations and we want to have healthy organizations. So we're gonna kind of briefly talk about supportive things that would support environments and policies that would support those environments, trainings and workshops, and things like that. So one of the things that works, and we kind of discussed a lot of this stuff anyway, is peer check-in. But we always talk about checking in, but what do you say to people, right? To check in. So what's a short question you could ask a colleague in a weekly check-in? And the example is, what's one thing that's on your plate that feels heavy? And sometimes it's just a question, not like, what's bothering you? Well, what's one thing on your plate that feels heavy? One of the questions I usually ask is like, how can I help? Right? What can I do to alleviate something? Like, let's all talk about that.
I say that, but then that in a way that doesn't create more stress for you. Because people, when I lost my husband, it was 9 years old, I was 29. People want help, and I love that, and I don't want to make people feel bad. I would always say, don't block someone's blessing. And then she would say, but don't create a stumbling block either. And so I try to say, because a lot of times I got overwhelmed with giving people things to do to help me.
And then you got to do them over again.
And then I have a hard time with, because I'm not a teacher, with finding balance with having someone help and then showing them what I need. And I'm in my mind, I'm thinking I could have just did this myself. But I don't want to hear that kind of energy or attitude. So any suggestions would be great.
Yeah.
So now I just say, how can I help? But as long as it doesn't create more stress for you. Because I don't want anyone to feel stress.
And then sometimes you just gotta tell people, like, sometimes things are just not in people's skill set. They're just not conscientious. So, and I don't say they're not conscientious, but it's just not something that they do. Like, if you are very particular about how you clean, and somebody offers you to clean, and you be like, oh, man. But you already know, and you just, like, when my father passed, like, I had a list, like, of things, and people would be like, can we send this? No, don't send that. And it was a way, but people, like, I told people, exactly, if you wanna order food, don't just be sending food to my house. Cause what did we say? Don't waste not want not, and that would definitely be a waste, I'll give it to my neighbor. So, I actually, would tell people, I want, and this is gonna be a funny name, food from a naked farmer.
There you go.
And this is what it is. And then, and in some ways, like, people help me put together lists and things like that, but you have to find out what a person's skill set is. And I always tell people, I want you to do something that makes you happy, so don't volunteer to clean for me. When you can't clean, don't volunteer to cook for me, when you're not gonna make a vegan meal. Like, these are the things. So you have to, really advocate for yourself. So that's one of the things.
And can I say that I think we always, I think there's a false positive, energy sometimes. And so is a Black podcaster, and I do this with my children, what's the peak and the pit of your day? Because people need both, right? Sometimes you be like, give me something that was positive, but people had something that was not. So what's the peak and the pit of your day? And I think people can kind of balance that one out.
Yeah, and some people say the rose and the thorn. Give me the rose and the thorn. Or you can ask what color, if you're asking about somebody's day. Because if I tell you my day looks gray, what does that mean? What if I told you my day was yellow? Orange, sunny? That's color. If I tell you my day was gray, like it was.
And the weather forecast, my coworker does that.
Yeah.
That's a great one. What's your weather forecast?
What's your weather forecast? Things like that. The next thing that we should think about is supportive policy. Like, I know, how many, oh, I'm sorry.
She wanna say something. Did she-
No, yes,
She put her hand up. Go
you said
ahead.
I ain't seen.
She didn't say nothing.
I was just gonna ask, like, for the first one on there, it was talking about supportive environments and policies. And that's been like a conversation for our team, is how do we create policies in our workplace that actually support the people that are people first. So yeah. if you had
People
any thoughts-
centered, yes, or community centered, and so it really, for me, it really depends, you have to know your community, right? And so when you're creating policies, you have to think about who those policies are going to affect. Like, I'm creating a policy, but that doesn't mean just because I created, it may not have the impact that I want or the intended impact. So a lot of times it's asking those people who are gonna be affected by it, including them in the decision making, like co-creating. And sometimes it's creating a form like this, because for instance, I think the next question, maybe 2 questions down, is celebration rituals. Like, there's a book called The 5 Love Languages. Have anybody heard of that or read that, right? So the premise is everybody has a love language, right? One is like giving gifts, one is words of affirmation. My favorite, acts of service. Can I say that again?
Yeah.
Acts of service.
I love it.
And so what we usually give, or what we do for other people, is our love language, right? And so you have to ask, kind of dwell deep into those things first before you make policies, before you do things. So that's what I would suggest. I don't know if that's helpful.
And we have to remember, we're not supposed to love people from our love language. We're supposed to love people from theirs. And that's the mistake I think a lot of people make, like, we're loving on them the way we wanna be loved, but we're not loving them the way their love language requires, or makes them feel safe and held and loved.
Yeah.
That's one of those, it happens often, a lot of people do that, and then they wonder why things aren't.
Yeah, no, because some people like are physical touch, right? And everybody has their
That's why I like these
thing.
bracelets.
That's why I like these bracelets. Now, I'm all green, and I am a hugger, and all that stuff. And I used to work with a woman, we used to call her Hugging Hosey. She would hug. Everybody like, ooh. Person almost fell, running away. So you have to know other people's love language. Some people, it really is, some people, you have to spend that quality time. Some people, if you are not telling them it's great or they're great, it don't matter how much time you spend with them, what you give them, what you do, oh Lord, we gotta move fast. But these are the things. So some supportive policies. Kay, you wanna enter, because we talked about some of the mental health days that you can give. And you wanna talk more about that?
Like the perspective and perception,
Say again?
perception and perspective, or?
No, the mental health, just like examples, like mental health days, right? Instead of using your sick time, they're actually
That's actually what I wrote.
mental health days that you can use. Like the Alliance has the summer break
In the retreat.
and things like that. Those are all policies and practices that we can do to help the organization. I'm gonna ask that you read through these questions.
And another good one is work sessions together for workers. Instead of people doing their work, having a meeting where you work together.
A working meeting.
Yes, so to help people, that could be a policy to support people's capacity.
Say again?
Quiet, yes.
Quiet time, yeah, quiet time works for me as well. We went through, we talked about some of the mental health days, flex times, a buddy system. Like when you get board members to join, you finally get a board member to join your board, right?
Yeah.
You get a no orientation, no one they can call and talk to. Let's give them an orientation, tell them what they're supposed to do. When we say this is about 4 hours of work a month, not a week. Let's stick to that. Give them a phone number or someone they can call. They don't know nothing about a co-op, but they love you. And yeah, you can't answer their phone calls anymore because you done got them on the board. They don't answer yours because you done gave them the task and they do it. So let's get them a buddy, institute orientations and things like that that will help keep them. Because we don't want them to join and be gung ho and then be like, I am out. Erica did that to you too.
And if I got an assignment that's like been a long time and I haven't done it, my coworker will call me and be like, tomorrow's that meeting. And that's love and accountability.
That is love and accountability.
Yeah.
You know somebody's supposed to be on that Zoom call, you don't see that. Exactly. You don't send that text. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes people, I look down at them. Oh man, you ain't there? Yeah.
That's love, right? That's love.
So these are things that we can do to prevent burnout and help people, not only help the organization, but help people individually. Because people do things when they feel loved.
Yeah.
People do things when they feel respected, valued, and honored. They may stay longer.
Yes.
So the real idea to this, and I probably have like 2 more minutes.
And you need someone, a part of your group that has that energy radar. Because some people aren't gonna say that they're starting to feel like they're about to pull away. But I'm a behavior specialist, so by nature, whether I want to or not, I'm noticing everything. I notice your energy even before you open your mouth.
Exactly.
So you can recognize anxiety coming up, you can recognize distance starting to be created, you can recognize less conversation, less input, especially if you have powerful voices in a group that have kind of stirred the pot, for lack of a better term. And a lot of times you get to a place where there's people that don't, Black folks, we don't like to hold ourselves accountable. We don't like to cause trouble. And that's our downfall a lot of the time, even in communities when it's like black on black crime, and I won't go into that, but accountability one to another is so important, not just to get the work done, but to nurture and hold one another and to be honest. It's hard going to work in the group, and when new people come in, there's a shift. And are we ready for that?
Right. And what I think Sister Free is speaking to is it takes all kinds of people to make things work, right? And so I would tell you, I tell people this all the time. I am not the person you want to invite to your party, right? And I say that with all love and respect for myself, because if you invited me to a party and there was a million of me, I don't really dance. I'm a great chair dancer. If you don't know what chair dance is, it's the last event. Now, when you require me to move my feet
Yes.
and my upper body, that doesn't look good. All those line dances, I don't do. We're not doing that. Not even the electric slide.
Not even that.
So, the key is to have different people. But I am an excellent person if you want the logical flow of something and to figure out the math. Like I asked him, this dude who's doing something, I asked, well, what's the difference? And he gave me some number. I was like, no, bro, it's not $300, it's $150. And I'll take it. Please don't ever do the calculations in your head. You won't be selling what you're trying to sell you. So these are the things. So you need all these people, but you need accountability. Thank you, Cicely, for her accountability and keeping time, because I would have kept out here all day long, but it is time. And what I need, hold on, it ain't that time just yet.
Hold on, we got a couple minutes now.
One more announcement. Please press submit. Even if you didn't fill out every single thing, press submit, because you will get your responses. And if you keep this page open, you will be able to change the responses and add to whatever, if you missed the question, right? But if you don't hit submit, you will not get your responses, nor will I, nor will we be able to share. So we thank you for spending this time with us. Take care.
So before you leave, hold on. We are at lunchtime, so there'll be food being served. There's also a photo booth in there if you wanna do some selfies. Be careful with the backdrop, don't take it down while you take a selfie. They're doing interviews, there's individuals, there's also room for group, there's a couple of you from your co-op, if y'all wanna do a thing, we will share the footage with you so that you can use it and it'll be shared amongst those. We'll be, in the main room for the afternoon, so wherever you're eating lunch, will be, that'll commence at 12:30, I believe. Feel free to mingle around, and be back in the big room. Thank you.
Back in the big room, 12:30.
Yes, ma'am.
12:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Got it.
I would not disrespect